And it says we're live. Greetings, everyone. It is Max, and we are back. And today we've got my CIA handler, Jack, and we're going to talk, just kind of stuff that's been going on around, with the whole thing in the supply chains and all that good stuff. And looking at Sludge Report, we got hacker troubles. Hackers are decided that meat is the new gold bullion, and they're hacking the cow plant. Oil wasn't good enough; they had to go after the real money with the meat plant. So, how we doing here? Hey, Victoria, how's it going? So, Jack,
What's up,
we
Victoria?
talk briefly here about the meat thing. And isn't it interesting how the hackers going after the meat here, the meat plant? Who'd have thought that it was such a precious cargo or a precious commodity that hackers would target a meat processing plant? Isn't that just amazing? These guys. Do you think you'd go after Microsoft or after Amazon or after all of these other organizations? No, we're going to go after the meat plant.
Yeah,
What do you think?
More forcing of the agenda, no doubt.
You don't think that?
Absolutely.
Do you think that's what happened though? It has to be the hackers, right?
Yeah, just like the Twin Towers,
Yeah, I mean, like, the oil plant. You can probably get some money out of that, but what are you getting from the meat plant? I don't know. We talked about in the meat plant here. This is a Canadian meat factory, which down in here somewhere it says that here it is, San Paulo-based JBS, which is the name of the company. Has facilities in 20 countries, and Australia, New Zealand, and Canada account for about 3 to 4% of their meat, and everything else goes to the United States, America. So it begs the question of why is this processing plant not in America? Jack, what do you think?
I think it's just more fraud.
More fraud?
Yeah,
I mean, they have to cross the imaginary lines for tariffs and tolls. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And in this article, it's pretty funny. Someone from the meat packer union said that the place had to shut down because the workers weren't unionized.
Oh, heaven forbid.
I don't know what that has to do with shutting plants down.
It has nothing
Why,
to do with it.
if a plant was hacked and that its machinery couldn't operate, what difference would it make that the employees were unionized or not?
Sure, like bringing in scabs would change that process.
I have no idea, but that's what they say. I don't know. They
Yeah.
got all sorts of stuff going on in there in Canada. Amazing.
I'm looking
amazing
forward to
times.
my laboratory meat. How about you? Because this is where all this is
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's where you should forget Bitcoin and put it all into whatever Gates meat. Gates meat, is that what they're calling it?
headed. Should we eat meat?
Well, I think didn't Biden say that you could have one hamburger a month?
That's it.
Maybe that's what this is. The hackers are trying to force the agenda that we can only have one burger a month.
That is absolutely what's going on. They're attacking the resources left and right at all ends.
Yeah, and it's funny how they all kind of coincide. I don't know about pricing. We heard about there was a liner or like big 550-foot ship that had car parts bound for America from Japan that sunk, and it took out another ship with it. And apparently,
Yeah, I saw that.
that in conjunction with the computer chip shortage that does the video processing and stuff like that, because everyone's mining Bitcoin, by the way. That's why there's no chips. But all those funky the funky OnStar and the GPS maps, the little display screen in your cars. There's cars that are 100% done except for that little chip that goes in that screen. So they're all sitting on the lot. And now they've got problems with parts where their big liner sunk coming from Japan for some more parts. So apparently the cost of cars is going to be going up, according for the new models that are coming out.
That's it. And a little bit of a note on that too. The Navy is actually at a standstill as far as their newer productions on their battleships because they can't get a particular.
What are we going to do without our battleships, man? What are we going to do?
Can't drum up any more wars at the moment, right? Can't defend the homeland.
Well, the only people we're mad at are out in the desert. What are ships going to do us anything out there? They need to be investing. They need to be investing in dune buggies.
They have those too, Max.
Yeah, I know. I know. So
Weaponized drones coming soon.
yeah, and that they were complaining about space junk somewhere in here too. You know, space something about the ISS getting hit by space junk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
here it
then
is.
you never see that when you see the footage.
Space junk. You never see any of that stuff floating in front of the moon
No,
where you have a perfect silhouette.
thank you. What, there's supposedly thousands of satellites in orbit? All
Hundreds
the
of
debris?
thousands. I don't know. It
Yeah,
says piece
maybe.
of space junk damaged the thing, and it says there's like hundreds of millions of debris pieces or whatever because gravity apparently it doesn't work after you get certain amount away from the Earth, and it doesn't work in the sun either. The sun doesn't bring that stuff out away from the Earth either. There's like this gravitational void when we decide that there's space junk. Um,
Yeah, it's a magic medium in between.
right, right. Which is
And
terrible. You know, just I thought I had seemed to have heard of like satellites crashing and stuff like that. So I just did a quick search, right? And I know this over here looks exactly like it just fell from orbit, doesn't it? It'll take a second for it to come up. There it is. Yeah, that's a crashed satellite in the desert.
it has to be real because it looks so fake.
Well, no, this is an actual thing that fell out of the sky. Okay,
Oh,
and I can't help but notice if this fell from space, it's got a parachute attached or a balloon. Huh. It's amazing that something like this, it doesn't look very sturdy, could actually enter in through the atmosphere without burning up. And it came prepared with a parachute to make sure that it didn't beat itself up too bad when it landed in the desert. It's amazing, amazing stuff. But the junk, you see, the junk that stays in space forever. Never mind, for the last 35 years, the ISS hasn't had a problem, but
yeah,
we won't forget. We'll just forget that things need to be repaired when it comes to the ISS. We'll worry about space junk, and we need a space junk tax of some sort. I think definitely need a space junk tax because that's just terrible that the 4 actors up there have to go through that space junk. So I don't know what's new on your side over there. Anything new and exciting? Yeah, you're in.
Not really.
You're in the east southeast of America there.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know, man. Just living life,
Yeah.
Working, taking care of mom, same old.
You didn't have anyone try and hack you recently? I hear that's going around. Trying to extort you for your bullets or something.
Well, what bullets? I don't believe in none of that. I own no weaponry.
That's right. You're gonna put a sign on your door.
I don't know, man. Me being in the CIA, I've got plenty of protection, Max.
Genetically altered mosquitoes. That's in the news.
Yeah, been released in Florida.
Yeah. I'm sure that's not going to go horribly wrong.
Of course not. How can it? It's all natural.
Yeah.
Messing with God's creation. Bunch of buffoons.
Yeah, I did want to talk, because we're apparently have this thing about trying to get my channel banned, but we'll talk a little bit about the picture that I have for my opener or whatever the thumbnail
Show me your
photo
papers.
is. Right.
Get on the train.
We'll obviously have to try and use code words, but it ain't always going to be possible with this stuff. Sure. So anyways, you go get your gene therapy, and apparently even if the people, you're like a danger to the people who you don't get the gene therapy, the people who don't want anything to do with that, you're actually messing up these people's health. And then there's this whole thing of like the people who will wear the mask and then the people who won't. And then
it's all confusion.
It's okay. If you get your gene therapy, you don't have to wear a mask. And like now the people that aren't, it's like now everything is reversed. Now the sick people are the people who got gene therapy. They're making everybody else sick.
Well,
and
it's all inversion. That's their game. It's confusion. That's what they're really good at. They're talking out of both sides of their mouth.
It's just wild. And then, people have a serious stand. Like when all this happened a year ago, I was telling people, I mean, obviously there's not a ton of people that listen to me, but like people that have their businesses and they own their own businesses, I'm saying, guys, you can't you just let your customers come in. Don't do this masking stuff. It's going to bite you. It's going to bite you. And now that we're kind of through most of this stuff, the businesses and the small businesses out there have had enough. And they say, if you've had gene therapy, you're not allowed in the store.
That's
So
creating a class system.
it's totally turned itself around. And then like we have one entrepreneur, like a year ago I was saying, guys, look for the opportunity in this stuff. We got to look for opportunity here. Or anything is shaken up, look for your opportunity. And this person here just took a felt marker and some pen and made their little Star of David there and says not vaccinated and is like selling them on eBay.
Oh, the
It's like-
irony.
and it's like, yeah,
Yep.
that's great.
We spoke earlier. I ordered a T-shirt, and that's
Yeah,
interesting timing yesterday for like $35 from a company online.
absolutely. And
It's
it's like,
basically, yeah, this is what it represents. It's just to let certain people know that would get it. It's like, think about it, people.
yeah, and it's supporting the businesses that know what the deal is,
You got it.
right?
You got it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And like businesses who wouldn't want, who think that they have to comply to this nonsense rules and stuff like that. You have legal rights to do what you want. And for wearing for something particularly like a breathing inhibitor, it seems to me that would be against your insurance policies. And you could just say, yeah, we don't require or allow masks because our insurance doesn't cover it. Totally legitimate, fine excuse, right? But
Sure.
nope, we're going to enforce all this stuff and we'll have our 16-year-old kid at the front door to harass people, give them a little bit of power. And
You got it.
and then they're going to cry because their doors are closing. And it's like, well, you should have been making little yellow stars, shouldn't you?
That's
Right?
it.
You should have been making little yellow stars and you should have been fighting, but nope. Now you're going to be begging for handouts from the government, just like everybody else.
It's like the old saying, they first came for the lawyers, right? And then it goes from there.
Oh,
and when
yeah,
they come
yeah.
for you, there's nobody there left. So,
That's right.
social conditioning. You'll either be a sheep or you'll see it for what it is. It's real simple. They put all the facts in front of you because it's that legal thing between Satan and God. There's a
Yeah.
lot of terms to be used for that, but it's interesting.
What's really mind-boggling about this last thing, though, is there really isn't any there's no punishment, really, or I don't know if that's the right word, but there's no for not doing what they're saying. Your little mandates and all this, that, and the other thing. Well, there's no laws, and they can say all this and that.
Right.
And there's nobody that's even writing phony tickets. Like they're in Canada, they're writing phony tickets.
Sure.
That no one's ever paid. So, but here they're not even doing that, and people are going along with it. That's what's really amazing.
Fear-based.
I don't know. I think people maybe have had enough, at least in some places.
Yeah, starting to see it like Florida. Certain places, certain states are just saying, okay, no.
What about your? You said your state's not quite there yet, huh?
Oh no, well no, we're pretty open-minded here. Actually, our governor put out a statement about 2 weeks ago, Kate Ivey, pretty much saying that the vaccine passport's not welcome here. And I was surprised. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Because they know, bottom line, now you can see the pushback. You can see a lot of people waking up now that they're scrambling. You can see them tripping because a lot of this stuff is backfiring. So I'm just waiting for the next ace in the hole, the card that they're going to pull, so to speak.
Well, they're going to make it part of a passport or something. I don't think they really care. As long as people are contained in the United States, that's all right. I mean, it's going to be a passport.
Yeah, I agree with
deal.
that.
And if it's not a U.S. thing, it's going to be a going to other countries, right?
Yes.
Like I think there's some talk of even Mexico has something like that, or at least they used to, but it was kind of like you could scribble out a vaccine passport on your paper, or like, a line sheet of paper. You just say, right. Yeah, fully vaccinated, and scribble a signature, and
that's it.
Here you go.
Sure. Yeah, it's easy to to circumvent these things. No doubt about it. Especially when it comes to something electronic, that's not a problem.
Yeah. And on the note of that, with like the internet stuff, let's see if I have it up here. I was going to do a video on this because I know all about the HIPAA stuff. Here it is.
Amen,
Wall
Franco.
Street,
Victoria, I'm ready to.
Wall Street Journal. Google strikes a deal with hospital chain to develop healthcare algorithms. So do you remember now, maybe last week, right? When anytime you have any health information or any things about, say, like getting gene therapy or getting this or getting that or whatever your doctor says, and then someone goes, "What did you do? Google that? You hear that on Google? Did you get that from Google?" Now the doctors are Googling what's wrong with people. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Google is going to
system.
connect medical records of everybody so that these doctors can get plugged in and Google the answers to what is ailing their patients.
Oh, nothing can go wrong with that.
Well, this wrecks HIPAA completely. And I'm very familiar with what they're talking about with this, and that, oh, no names are used. It doesn't matter. It's people's health information. And
it's private, period.
This is the medical tyranny. You have the Alphabet Corporation taking over and sifting through everyone's medical records now.
Absolutely.
And it's like there is no way you can avoid that, because even small private practices are required to use an electronic system of some sort by this point. Unbelievable. What did you Google that? You find that on Google? When start talking to people about health. And it's like, yeah, so did your doctor. Your doctor Googled it.
Sure. I mean, it's very ironic. It's a sad set of circumstances that we're seeing. But, again, it's like you stated, Max, it's the best time to be alive. The Lord put us here, this particular moment, for a reason. That's it.
Best apocalypse ever.
You got it. Amen.
I can just imagine, like, in your doctor's office, there's going to be an Alexa there or something. Your doctor's going to be like, "Alexa, how do you suture a sucking chest wound?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. When a robot comes in for assistance,
Oh, that's funny. They have had real problems with that stuff. They've been trying to do that for like 5 years.
Yes.
Where they have like the surgeon the one guy who knows what he's doing in some other country try to do open heart surgery with the
right.
Yeah, it didn't quite work so well. Would you like to be the patient on that table?
No.
Like, we got the best guy in the world to do this surgery. He's doing it remotely with 300 millisecond lag. Yeah,
right.
Perfect.
Right. Yep. Incredible. Welcome to the new age.
I don't know. I'm obviously at some point Amazon and Google are going to be able to root through your medical records. I'm assuming that this will get rid of HIPAA, which is the big reason of like any of this stuff. Yeah, with people who are, working when they're dealing with this thing where like the people who didn't get gene therapy need to wear masks, and the people who did get gene therapy are good to go, and all of this stuff, you don't have to comply to any of that. All right. It's flat against HIPAA. You're wearing your medical records on your face then. It's nobody's business. And that is, you don't need to go any farther than that. All right.
Yeah, personal autonomy.
It's highly illegal when you look at the penalties for HIPAA. As somebody who's worked in I worked with this stuff for 4 or 5 years.
Right, my mother did.
If they want to wreck you, if they want to wreck somebody and get them out of the hospital, they will say they were messing around or sneaking peeks at records that they shouldn't have. Not that they even did anything with it. They just say you access somebody's record who you did not have authority to go to, and they're fired if they're not charged with something. And the reason that HIPAA is there, sadly, is not for the common people. Okay. The reason HIPAA is there is when medical record systems were new, you couldn't sort out exactly who was somebody who was famous, somebody who had money, somebody who could wreck you, and just the general goyim sheep population. Right?
The goyim.
So now that we're more advanced, you can put the little star, you can put the little gold star there on Lady Gaga. Her medical records are fine. Where anybody even sneaks a peek, you're going to jail. But everybody else, give it to Google. Give it to Google. But the HIPAA laws were there back in the day to protect all of these people. Because here's the thing is like, like Rush, this is the time of Rush Limbaugh and his whole deal. All of these people are all on drugs like crazy. They're all getting prescribed all sorts of stuff. And if anybody who has access and a password to the medical record system can go and look and see how much drugs Rush Limbaugh is getting prescribed, that's a little bit of a story, and you can sell that info and you can blackmail people with this stuff.
You got it. Bingo.
That's why it's a big deal. Even things like the gene therapy thing, if you can't go into a store because they know you've gotten it, okay, that's a problem. That's a HIPAA problem there too. So it's a big deal. But obviously, they're going to want to turn it around here with what Amazon and Google is doing. And always the best practice is to don't bother going to the doc unless you actually have a problem. All right. Otherwise, they're treating you like a car who's going in for the 6-month maintenance. You're coming in for the oil change, and then we can find out how many problems your suspension doesn't have before
we're just numbers. They call us useless eaters. We're cattle. So there you go. In Victoria, I agree with that. That's absolutely right. They got rid of the mask so that the gene therapy recipients can spread the zombie juice to the rest of us. Going back to the shedding, I've seen some proof on that as well. And it's like, well, again, we're born again. We belong to the Lord. We're going to suffer here in this life. That's it. You either rely on Him or you don't. And that's it. Don't worry about this stuff. Live your life. You
can't worry about things that there's nothing you can really do anything about.
You got it, because God's in control.
Right.
Satan's running the show. We know that, but God's in control. Satan still has to go and get permission to do pretty much anything. People don't get that. That's in Scripture. That's not me. So the bigger picture is me and Max always discuss. We can talk about these things. It's good to stay on top of it, to know what's going on around you. That's like being prepared. I'm that guy. Yeah. I have my ammunition. I have my weapons that I did lose in a boating accident. That's another story.
Obviously.
But the bigger picture, God's in control. This is all foretold. It's all in Scripture. We might not know the minute details of all of it. That's fine. That's for a particular reason too. We couldn't handle it. But we're born again. We're His children. He's got us. We're good. Pass it forward. Pay it forward.
That said, if you know something is blatantly harmful to you, you don't jump in line for it.
No, exactly.
And say, "Oh, God will protect me."
well, that's it. It's like handling the snakes. It's back to that. Is that something? Is that a ritual? And I'll say that word to demonstrate one's faith, or just like the touching of hands. Well, it didn't work for you because you didn't have enough faith.
Oh yeah,
it's crap. It's the grain of a mustard seed. It's not mustard seed size. Big difference. So it's like anything in life. Before you eat, do you pray over it? Sometimes we do. Sometimes we don't.
Yeah. It's like, sometimes.
Well, that's true. And I'm just calling it out. I mean, we all fall.
Usually it's when it's something questionable. Unfortunately.
Yeah. McDonald's pray. Taco Bell pray. I got sick 3 weeks ago from Taco Hell. It was rough.
Yeah.
But that's what it comes down to. We're going to suffer here. Joel Osteen's a punk. This is not my best life. My next life's my best life. We all get that. And whatever comes. I got a hill that I'm going to stand on. That's protection of me and the people around me. That's it. Spreading the good news, I'll go to jail for that peacefully. That's the division with me, but that's where I stand.
It's about having the appropriate attitude going into these times. All right.
That's it.
There's a lot. And I mean, like almost everywhere you go, everybody's the negative, whatever.
Oh my
Look
God,
at what they're doing here.
I know it.
Oh, can you believe Google's going to have our medical records? Oh, right. and oh man, then the people are shedding their stuff and they're going to give me this and they're going to give me that. And like everything is like.
And the aliens are coming.
It's like, no, we'll just put this information out there as that, to be aware of this stuff and go, oh, that's interesting.
Sure.
And then when you're like kind of into the routine of like, more or less protecting yourself because you're aware of these things, right? I mean, something as simple as maybe you don't want to get gene therapy, maybe, but something just simple like that, then you can, kind of take a little bit. It's not really a funny situation, but it's a lot more lighthearted when you look at the stuff that they're doing where it actually is like entertaining. It's like things that they're really doing.
Absolutely.
Your Google search engine from 10 years ago was brand new, was out there searching the web to find you all your little things on the web. And now they're going to dig in medical records. It's like, really? Oh, that's kind of funny.
It's
you know,
gotta
I mean,
take
it's
place.
like just the place is like, oh, you mean that Microsoft guy who created the operating system with all the bugs in it, terrible operating system. Now he's going to do your food supply. And, you know, that can't go wrong, you know, and it's just kind of funny. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, it's either cry and sit in a corner and shut the
Right.
world off, or just seize the day. You know, and I've struggled with that on and off through the years too. You know, it's about so a man thinketh, so he is. That's a lot of it. It really is. It's attitude.
It pretty much everything is attitude.
That's it, man. That's it. I know. Trust me, I know.
You know, and it's kind of unfortunate in order to really be in that zone, though. You really got to go through some crap, and you're like, this is nothing. You just wait till they start pulling your fingernails out.
Well, what can we learn if we're on the peaks all the time, right? You got to go through a few valleys.
Well, don't get me started with the boomers. I'm going to make people mad. And I don't have anything against the baby boomers at all. I'm just
they were sold a bill of goods too. We're all indoctrinated, but not all indoctrination's bad. That's the point.
It's just like just with that thing is that I'm just more jaded because Generation X got the shaft. We got like none of that. We got none of the cheap free school. We got none of the pension plan stuff. We got nothing. And yeah, but you know, I guess that makes you stronger as it goes. And
sure,
that's how we'll have to look at it.
Absolutely. Just like building character for your walk, you know,
yeah,
between you and the Savior. So, you know, that's dying to self daily. It's like the care of the world. You know, it's people around me trip, you know, they're like, dude, who are you now? Well, you know, it's all about the walk, man. I'm nobody special. I mean, I am to God in that respect, but as far as people, no, I've already been condemned. We've had that discussion a lot. You know, some people get it, some don't. That's fine. I'm not out to try to impress anybody. You know, I've got my own issues. I'm just a saved sinner, born again. That's it. You know, there's beyond that. It's it's in the Lord's hands, man.
At least you don't have to worry about who's taking care of your medical records. I mean, that's one thing that you can take off the plate that you don't have to worry about because Google, they got it covered.
All right.
And you don't have to worry about where your meat is coming from unless, you know, it's from that Canadian plant who got hacked.
Laboratory grown. Can't wait, man. The green slime. It looks great.
Oh yeah. The pink slime was the pink slime was what's in McDonald's, right? That's what it used to be. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's like I don't care. I still eat it. I eat hot dogs.
I just bought some today. Nathan,
you just microwave them for an extra minute. You'll be fine.
Oh no, that's blasphemy. No, I'll throw them in a microwave, man.
I'm hungry. I got to get the pink slime in there. Got to get the pink slime in there somehow. I mean,
come on, man. You got to boil them or fry them. Come on. Microwave a hot dog. What's wrong with you, Max?
You get out a frying pan for a hot dog.
Oh yeah. Are you kidding? This is the South. We don't play. Southern style cooking, man. Comes with a book. I'm telling you. People take it real serious down here.
Yeah.
Well, I don't cook. I never have. It runs in the family. I've got great cooks, thank God. But I can do a great pancake, but that's it. That's where that ends for me.
Can of chili. That'll do it.
Yeah. Oh,
you can live off a can of chili. And
Wolf chili. Best in the
So, Iran nuclear fuel production. Do you think do you think nuclear weapons exist?
Yeah, I'm on the fence about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got my own ideas about it. The more I looked into it, it was like, well, maybe it's a cover. Because to me, some of the science just doesn't add up. There's a lot of discrepancies in that as far as splitting an atom and what's fission and what's fusion. It
seems to me the only reason for not having nuclear power plants everywhere is this fear of nuclear fallout.
You got it. Chernobyl, supposedly.
which there's no such thing as
Right.
nuclear fallout.
Right. Because
So
how
if
can
the
it be? It's inert after that point.
well, the they only the nukes they only have a reaction when you have two different types of uranium or whatever, or two different isotopes that are
Right.
and
Right.
they produce heat. They don't explode.
That's it.
So all of these things for power production is just heat. So they can make steam and turn a turbine to turn your lights on. How did they make a bomb out of that? And Nikola Tesla was saying he used to blow up atoms all the time and everything. And it's like, well,
That's
I think I'm
exactly.
gonna believe Tesla,
Yep. All day
right?
long. All day long. As far as my research into Tesla through the years, he's never been proven wrong. Actually, everything he ever did was actually proven to be correct. And it's the mindset from where the man was coming from, his intent, and I seen what the against that man. So just like a number of people through history tries to come up with anything that's alternate, for the betterment of mankind.
Well, I just think if nuclear energy was safe, we'd all have a reactor in our house.
Well, sure, that was proposed many years ago.
And all of
It's
this
the
stuff,
safest, cleanest form to do it.
I've been researching hydrogen engines, and you can create hydrogen just with electrical. I mean, you can literally create hydrogen out of water to run like any engine you have,
Sure,
and it's
HHO,
and
HHC.
it's really it's perfectly safe as long as you're generating it and then using it, and you're not really storing it in a huge container or something.
We used to have them on one of the plants where I used to work, where I built the refrigeration cases.
Yeah,
We had them for those plasma cutters.
yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, and that was 2005, six, and it was interesting. So I
I was
messed
watching
around with
a
some of that stuff for a while.
I was watching on YouTube a guy. How I found this was a guy who was a guy in Russia who does a lot of. He's got all the machinist tools and everything, and for fun, he was making an Iron Man power pack that was a hydrogen generator, and it's the size of the Iron Man chest piece thing.
I saw that. I watched
Right.
that
So
guy.
you know what I'm
Brilliant.
talking about. And I'm
Yes,
like, okay, then I looked up into that, and you can buy this stuff off eBay for like $100. And it's
sure.
like, if this technology is this cheap, this safe, and produces that much power out of water,
People's made cars with those systems.
well, of course.
It worked
Why
great.
are why isn't every car designed with that?
Big
Why aren't
oil.
they battery slash hydrogen generators? It makes no
Electric cars
sense.
from the 70s, same thing.
Makes no
Same.
sense.
Well, sure, makes perfect sense from a monetary standpoint.
Well, right. From a New World Order globalist thing, it's the same with nuclear energy is like we can't allow people to have constant renewable energy. We need to have something that we can burn up and charge people for. And yeah, we get that, but thing is like, wow, now I'm all into like I watched a video today where guy was running, he was testing out diesel fuel versus straight dirty motor oil versus vegetable oil versus
Right.
biodiesel, and they all ran the same. The best one was actually just dirty motor oil, and it's
Yeah, I
like,
know which channel you're talking about. I follow that
so
guy
it's like,
too. Yep.
why aren't all cars diesel? Why can't I go to the grocery store and buy 5 gallons of vegetable oil? It makes no sense at all.
Well, hey, man,
I suppose I
control.
can. I guess the silver lining is I guess I can.
You can.
Everybody else can
With
be dumb.
YouTube, if you're good with your hands and tools, you can learn. You're a smart guy. You can learn this stuff. Look, I've been involved with electronics most of my life, and I have ideas for patents, but it takes money. And a lot of that, you start depending on what particular field that is, you can forget it. It's not
Yeah.
going to happen. They're not going to release any kind of a number on that. They won't give it to you. Because, there's certain websites you can go to through the government.gov with all these submitted patents that's
Oh
there
yeah.
that you can read and look at. It's brilliant, man. There's millions of diagrams just for electronics. And man, every few months I'll get the itch and I'll look that up and I'll stay on it for hours. And it's like, man, it's geek heaven. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. It is just people come up with the most incredible things, but you never see it. You never hear it.
No.
The magnetic car, from the late 70s, early 80s. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but there's been some YouTube videos about this guy circulating for years. And, they killed him with a heart attack gun or whatever. But he was dead. Big old, approached him and his brother, took him out to eat, offered him $1 billion to shut up. most people would have took it and ran. He said, no, I want to help mankind, kind of like Nikola Tesla,
Well, there's that.
humanitarian.
I have the unlimited energy or whatever video that's pretty popular on my channel, and they have the Geet guy on there.
That's it.
The Geet
I've seen
motor.
it. Yep.
Where like he got this mysterious letter from a court in like New York that was like a Supreme Court, and he was dumb enough to go. And they just took him and put him in jail. And it's like, they're like, you can't do that. That's illegal. And he goes, sounds like it should make a hell of an appeal. Off you go.
No doubt.
And he got out and he just released his stuff to the internet, which is, it looks to me like it's just a hydrogen generator is all. It's not.
That's basically it.
It's a hydrogen generator that creates the hydrogen through the tailpipe and
electrolysis. You
I forget what this plasma generator is, what it is. Which sounds all Star Trekky, but plasma is just a type of gas, really.
Right. Yeah. Right. Get a lot of power from that. It's like a buck converter in electronics, a step up circuitry.
Yeah.
You have a low and it can double or triple the output.
Yeah.
So then there's the law of thermodynamics and entropy that takes place, because there's really no such thing as free energy. That's just a term that's used. But there's a lot of technology out there that's real simple, basic science to where you can improve upon that theme. And it's been done. I mean, vehicles ran 60 to 70 miles per gallon back in World War II. And when somebody gets a car today that says, oh, wow, look how far we've come. Well, what do you mean? My car gets 40 miles per gallon. I'm like, man, that's old school. What? But it's been
I think
done.
That was the big, in like the 90s, everyone cared about gas mileage. And that didn't, cars are way bigger now and get way worse gas mileage. I think they figured out they'd rather sell gasoline than be cost effective. Right? Because the only thing did you know Ford is no longer selling cars? Like at all. They're not making any cars except the Mustang.
Not know that.
Yeah.
Really?
They said, we're done doing cars.
Interesting.
And I think GM is like the Chevy Volt. I mean, isn't that like one of their new cars? They're not doing them anymore. They're not. And that's like their electric thing too. They're not doing, their people are not buying cars, so they're not going to build them. And it's like, what about all this
now?
What about all this? Are they doing this because the gas they know is going to be $8 a gallon and they want people to pay $8 a gallon on their SUVs or something?
I'm sure that, and the economy's been tanked, artificially, but it's a real thing. It's
you think people would be more likely to buy a $10,000 cracker box than a $60,000 SUV though?
Look, last year I bought a 2003 Toyota Corolla.
Yeah.
One owner, super clean, 48,000 miles on it. And I get about 35 miles per gallon on it. So that was a good investment for me. Got it for a penny. So, it's what you do. I don't buy a new car, never have.
Yeah.
I used to make really good money to where I could, but it's like, what for? Devalues as soon as you drive off the lot. What's the point? I mean, if you have money, that's your thing, fine. But that's just never been me. I put my money in other things.
So what do you think? What else we got going on? Yeah.
Space aliens.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about space aliens.
Ready? Oh yeah, I'm ready. Been waiting on this one for most of my life. So now that I see it in a whole different perspective than I have for the past 10 years, so it's going to get interesting. Don't know if we'll be here for it or not, but maybe.
Looks like Victoria needs a hot dog or something. She's hungry. Yeah, I had a hot dog and mac and cheese and all the good poor people food.
Hey man, mac and cheese is the stuff.
Yeah, I mean we in our area we have Annie's, which is like fast food, but it's made out of organic stuff. So that's pretty cool.
I heard that. Isn't it sad though that the organics cost 3 times as much, if not twice, depending on where you go? Because it used to be so much cheaper just to eat natural. Go figure.
Well, because everything was. They didn't have to put any labels on it.
Right.
There's no such thing. I mean, it's kind of funny when they have to have an organic sticker on an apple.
Isn't it?
Like, what?
Yeah, we
certified organic. I'm like, sure. Yeah, it's an apple.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything anymore. Hey, one of them Gates apples.
Love it. Take a bite. Get genetically altered.
Yeah. They got that whole
Oh,
thing with that too, where there's like magnetism involved and they got robots in you. Man, the stories,
magnet.
speaking of aliens and that whole thing, the people are going off the rails with the stories about that stuff, about nanotechnology and all this stuff. And it's like, have we seen anywhere that nanotech exists? Like in any
No,
sort of
I've read a lot of stuff about it. I've
right.
heard
I think it's
professionals
just
speak on it. That's
I
it.
I'm gonna have to call it. It's one of those things that's like what the elite wet dreams, right? Where they want to go. We really want to have nanotech. We really want to do it, and we really want to do these, and we really want to take over the world completely, and we really want to do this, and then we really want to defeat God. It's like that.
Pinky in the brain.
Yeah, exactly. It's like people take it so seriously, and it's like, is there any evidence that any of this stuff exists? Like obviously, if you put your little mass under the microscope and you look at some of this stuff, there's some like questionable things in there that could be metallic or something like that. But does that mean they're little baby computers? I don't think so. I think they're just shooting you up through with poison. All right. I'm going to keep it simple and say it's poisonous. Nanotech,
Yeah, because
man.
there's nothing natural about that as
Well,
far as
there's
the noodle that's going on.
I don't know. And then there's the whole thing where it's going to turn you into a wireless transmitter, and they're going to be able to control your brain, and we're going to have telecommunications, telekinetics, or where you can
Well,
talk to each other.
I believe that will happen
You
as
think
soon
so?
as people take the mark. But until then, no.
So when people take the mark, they're not going to age, and they'll be able to talk with their head,
Well,
you think?
hey, maybe. I don't know what kind of abilities will be promised, but if you're seeking death and you can't find it, and you grievous sores come upon you,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's interesting. That's some hellish stuff, but it's a literal thing. So I don't know, Max.
Victoria says that there's patents on nanotech. Now,
Supposedly.
well, I don't doubt that there is, but
Right.
nanotech that does something. Like, can you shoot somebody full of nanobots and it repairs their arteries or something? Is that a thing? Or is it just we've called something a nanotech and here's our patent? Because
Sure.
that's all I've ever seen.
I think it's more of a goal. I haven't really seen myself the proof of it. I know in electronics, they've gotten what they call surface mount or microelectronics. And in the past 20 years, that's advanced, dramatically. But have I seen anything that's microscopic myself? No.
Well,
Not even within that field, not as of yet. Now, that's not to say what they have, which is, always something that circles back to the question that me and you always talk about. How much of this is bait and switch or just fluff, for an audible, for whatever, or how much of it is really factual based? I don't know.
I'm gonna call fluff on almost everything.
Buffoonery. Okay.
I'm not gonna go at. I just
Could be.
man. They're really gonna have to do some hard proving demonstrations where we witness stuff happen before I'm gonna even conceive that it's possible that we have the technology to shoot people up with microscopic robots that actually do something other than just poison you and get clogged in your liver. Right?
Yeah, I'm with
because
you on
that's
that.
probably what it is like, oh, we'll just inject him with this stuff and let's see what happens. Oh, it clogged his liver and killed him. Perfect. Let's give it out to everybody.
Gene therapy.
Yeah, that's the gene therapy thing is not nanotech. That's a totally different deal.
No.
And it's like, yeah, you can play around just splicing stuff together and just see what happens. But there is a limit to that also, in that, God's got a separation there. Everything reproduces after its kind.
Right.
Things that are bacteria will only infect certain animals. Everything is pretty well has a separation there. So even my extent of gene manipulation is still going to have a little bit of, still going to hold off on that. But, people are definitely having problems. They're definitely getting,
no doubt.
But I'm just going to go, well, yeah, it's poison. There you go. It's poison.
To me, it's real simple.
What did you expect? Here, I can shoot you up with some Drano. It'd make you feel better. Then you can just call it Drano. There won't be any mystery.
Isolated. Look into the virus theory. I mean, it's it's very interesting. We've all had a year roughly to study these things. It's like, okay, we're being bamboozled.
And if people are getting it at this point, it's like, well, you had a year. How much more time you want? I mean,
everybody that I work around, man, is like, especially here lately with everything drumming back up. It's oh man, it's. Did you get the jab? Are you going to? That's none of your business. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You know, it's usually no conflict, but it's man, people are so bold with it now.
Well, and here's the thing too, is like right now where there people are having trouble finding employees and people to work at your place, you pretty much can do
Absolutely,
whatever you want.
you got it.
Maybe
That's
like,
it.
yeah, I'm not gonna wear your crap. You can fire me and I'll go make more sitting at home. I mean, come on.
Sure, and they know that. But I took a different direction. I just told them, I said, you know, I told you
Well,
about the phone call that I got this morning,
yeah.
and they're
Well,
fine with it. But if they continue, if there's any kind of pressure because of insurance, and that's usually it's always the money,
sure.
then it'll be a litigation issue.
Well,
It's
right.
not a
I mean,
problem. Not a
this
problem.
depending on what you add. I mean, people have their own different deals to go with that, but it's like at this point in time, the law is on your side. And it won't
Absolutely.
necessarily always be on your side, but right now the law is on your side. And also right now, as people need people to work, unless you're a government employee, then you can do whatever you want. You probably already gotten the jab. You probably already, yeah,
Yeah, just
probably
like
already
that.
have your got my Bell's palsy on. All right.
Yeah, if you're lucky, that's what you get, right?
Yeah.
No, that's what we do. Play video games all day.
Yeah. Watch YouTube in my government job.
That's it. Got to keep my eyes on my handler,
Not
Max.
that, not saying that all government jobs, everyone. I do sweeping generalizations. I'm just letting everybody know. I sweepily generalize everybody into a nice little box. That way I don't have to spend a whole lot of time on everything.
Right.
But, you know, always, of course, there's exceptions. You got to do the old Jesse Lee Peterson, not all, but most thing, you know.
Gotcha.
And
Some things need to be
yeah,
specific, some things not.
there are government jobs that need to be done, and I'm sure people do great jobs at those. However, the bureaucrats that their sole purpose is to find ways to give money to people, you know, is probably not one of them, and some other things, the social services deals, and sure, you know, hey, that's like working at HR. You just kind of watch YouTube all day, and you know,
Sure.
send people forms. Somebody,
Make
your
easy
phone
money.
rings and you answer it and you go, "What's your name?" "Okay, I'll send you a form." And then you hang up and then you go back to your YouTube, and that's your job. And you know, good for those people. Um, that's great.
Well, hey, you know, it's human nature too, and people are pretty clever, but this is the argument, and I've told people this around me, you know, especially people at work. Everybody's bitching about this younger generation or people that are taking this check from the government. Said I can't blame them.
Of course not. Why would I tell somebody to go to work
Exactly.
if they can sit
It's your
home on
money.
unemployment, make more money on unemployment? The only thing that I will say to that effect, though, is that the time to seize opportunities. All right. There's the time to seize opportunities, and you need to be going the other way of other people.
Absolutely.
You need to, is where you want to make your money is when other people are maximum fear. That's where you get in, and that's where you make investments, and that's where you make out money. And it's the same thing with jobs. Okay, when the the job market is full and nobody can find a job, um, it's rough to be looking for a job there. But if nobody wants to work and you show up, it's like, hey,
Your
I
goal.
want $50 an hour.
You got it.
And I will sit there and do that job, sending out forms, watching YouTube all day. And I'm giving you a deal. And they'll go, great. When can you start?
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's like where I work. They're fixing to give everybody $30 more an hour.
yeah,
So, you know, I essentially had a 35% increase in 2 months.
yeah.
So it's like, you know, certain people has left and they're sweating. And they're getting kind of nervous about it.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to find my, you know, just to make some extra money here and there this is where I'm going to seize the opportunity because I can get whatever I want. And if I'm not satisfied with whatever I end up doing, you know,
Sure.
preferably something hands-on, you know,
Right.
important. But if I get a little bee in my bonnet, I'll be like, fine, I'm going to go over here and go work here, you know? and probably
Look,
make
man.
more because the people are hiring in at higher and higher wages to the point where
Sure.
people who have been there for longer than 6 months are like, well, now this guy you just hired is making more than me. I'm
You
just going
got
to
it.
quit
Yep.
and go over across the street and make some more
Seen
money.
that. That's happened to 3 people in the past 6 months where I work.
Yeah.
They were disgusted by it. It's like, well, look, guys. Again, it's not a union, and they're
Right.
desperate. You get what you pay for a lot of times. Not always, but
Well,
it's
that's
like,
the
hey,
thing.
right.
Is that they used to not want to they didn't want to pay to keep people around who knew what they were doing. And that was the model for a
Exactly.
long time.
You got it.
And I was
You got
involved
it.
in the
Slave
HIPAA
wages.
thing, and
Yep.
electronic medical records was my entire game at what I did. And because I knew what I was doing, people would come in from, what is it? United Healthcare. They're a real big insurance group. And of course,
Yes,
they get
sir.
the headhunter from United Health. You get the headhunter from these guys and the headhunter from these guys. And they're like, well, I'll give you 8 more an hour. This one over here, I'll give me 12 more an hour. This one over here. And it's like, that's how you got a raise, because whatever you were hired in at, is what your wage is going to stay. And they just expect that after 4 years, you're going to leave to go somewhere else.
Absolutely.
And that was their investment in you. That's what they thought of you. It's like, well, you're good for about 4 years and then you're going to leave. And sure enough, that's when I left, 4 years. That's when everybody left. It's like a revolving door, because that's the only way you could get a raise. And now the shoe's on the other foot, where no one wants to work and they'll do anything to keep you, which is good.
Sure.
And,
I mean, I threatened to leave a month ago, and they were like, okay, what's it going to take? I said, $3 more an hour. They said, sure.
oh, there you go.
I don't want to be unfair about it, but it's like, pay me what
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I actually show up early every day, and I do my job, and I take pride in it. I do it very well. I can't say that about everybody around me, because everybody's different, but that's not a very lax job.
It's not. Yeah, and it's not your job to worry about what other people are doing.
You got it. But in security, that's a whole different thing. If you can't trust the person next to you, you're on your own.
Alpha Snowflake, how dare you?
What do you do?
Greta's not happy. Roderick got to it. How you doing, Roderick?
Greta.
Some new faces. Got some new faces in here in the chat.
All good.
All good.
How dare you? Yeah, please. Taking an autistic child and Luciferians, putting her up front. You gotta love it. Just to push the narrative. Kids shouldn't have that kind of voice anyway. It's just, we're living in a sideshow, man.
Yeah.
It's just Clownville.
So we never did get to aliens, but we could talk. You want to do aliens, or talk about maybe what kinds of things we're doing for preparing, or we can go do space aliens. We're gonna give the space aliens gene therapy. Maybe the space aliens are the ones who already got the last year's gene therapy. You think?
Now remember that the Pope in the past 10 years have come out with all these subtle statements. There are space brothers. It went from could be to yes, there are space brothers, and I can't wait to baptize them. But more than likely, they'll know the gospel better than us. I'm like, really?
Well, they'll know it better than the Pope for sure.
Oh, well, you got that right.
They'll just look it up on Google.
They're your space brothers. So yeah, it's hard to explain, but if I had to put it in a nutshell, I think me and you've already covered this. To most people's satisfaction. I've studied this stuff all my life. I was a hardcore ufologist.
Alien thing? Okay.
Oh, yeah. All my life.
I'm gonna run to the bathroom quick, and I'll be right back. We get heavy.
Man, don't leave me by myself. No,
we're gonna have to leave you by yourself. Hey, you were starting your own channel. You gotta. Here's your shot. So anyways, we have some new people. Welcome, new people here. This is just our casual chat night where we're talking about what's going on in the world. My CIA handler here, Jack Savant tonight. Jack Savant. So we're gonna talk some aliens. I'll be back in like 30 seconds here.
Yeah, take your time, man. Take care of your business. What's up, everybody? How's it going, guys? Ufology is partly what brought you to the Lord. Yeah, amen. Amen. Actually, I was born again at 8 years old as a child, and backslid most of my life, didn't study, thought the Bible was the Bible, learned different. I've been on the quest for truth. Let me put it this way: with a biblical worldview now, and studying my walk with the Lord for about 10 years now. And I can absolutely agree. I was a believer, but not seeing the bigger picture because I didn't study, having the worldview. And I drank that supposed apostate Kool-Aid because I've been involved in 2 cults in my life. And the trick of that is part of Satan and his billions of ways of trickery, because we know he's the most subtle beast of the field. I was duped, but I could admit, and I started to learn to do that years ago, that not only am I wrong about a lot of things, I have to rethink it. What do you think you know? What's it based on? That's what it comes down to. Being earnest about it and asking questions, having that open mind. But if you don't have a scriptural foundation, you're lost. That's bottom line for me. And the Bible version issue, it was very interesting to me because I grew up with King James. But again, I didn't study. But I studied that particular issue out for about 2 years just to get to the bottom of it, and the Lord showed me that. So I was very diligent, and I still am.
All right, we're back.
All right, man, that was quick. You feel better?
Oh yeah. I got speaking of like the health things and stuff, we're still going through the tangy tangerine from Dr. Wallach. Man, that stuff is like razor blades in the bladder, though, after about a half hour. Like,
a little rough on you, huh?
Yeah, it's good stuff, though.
Yeah.
It's really good stuff, but...
Tang.
Yeah.
It's what the astronauts used.
Yeah. Tangy tangerines. So, the alien stuff we got going. We got the demon thing going, the aliens, and, yeah.
It's Nephilim, it's giants, it's all that stuff. The government's propped this stuff up for a long time.
Well, they're getting back into it.
Well, that's the whole point. It's misdirection.
This is like 20 years ago. This is like what it was. This is like the same thing we got. Now it's for the millennials now, or Gen Z or whatever.
Sure. But the whole point about the whole narrative is now most of the world believes. So if Satan was to use, and we've heard this, L.A. Marzulli and on and on and on, you start seeing motherships appear, whether it's through Project Bluebeam or actually, demon manifestation, which they can't create anything. But as far as the illusion, because we see these crafts morph and do things that are against physics that we know of. And that's what I thought for years. It's highly advanced technology. I don't know about that anymore. I think the government has their facade that's part of it. And then they're pretty much in league with these fallen angels, because we all know it's the Luciferians that's running the show, or what they call as the original ones, or the old ones. And that goes back to the round table, and that's the head. You got Satan and you got those guys, and it trickles down from there as far as the occult. But yes, there's been a pact made, and these people know exactly what they're doing. And it's by a social construct that they guide and direct us, because everything's done by psychology. And the people on top are brilliant because they're connected with demons, and they're demon possessed themselves. So to me, there's no question or argument about that.
I somewhat think that they're surprised when they're successful with something.
And I agree with that, because
I look at it, I'm like, how, what, huh? Fantasy disease, what? And I just know that they're all at their round table going, can you believe these guys? Let's make them wear 2 masks. Let's do it. Let's make them wear 2.
There you go. Public schools, dumbing down of the world. It's all by design.
I think
you shut down critical thinking. What's that?
I think they're amazed that it worked as well as it did.
I don't know. Maybe. Because you can only predict so much. They don't have a crystal ball. How much insight these demons have, I don't know. I've heard a lot of different things, but I have to go by what Scripture says. They've been around a long time, so they know us better than we know ourselves. That's obviously clear to me. So if they know human nature, and they can shut down your critical thinking and know that they're driving you just through fear-based mind control, there you go.
They didn't seem to have anything figured out until Germany showed up on the scene in World War II. honestly, because it wasn't until after that where they really had their social programming propaganda down at all. And it seems like those guys over there were doing it better first, right?
Yeah,
Before it came,
absolutely.
before it mysteriously showed up in America,
You got
totally
it.
by accident.
Operation Paperclip. Back to my father knowing Warner von Braun. And if people know anything about him, he was an occultist, but he's also made the statement before he died. And he's got something interesting on his tombstone, too, quoting scripture about the firmament. So it's very telling. But he did make the statement that one of the last tricks that they would have to pull on mankind is for people to believe in the extraterrestrial narrative.
Mm-hmm.
That's a quote. So, yeah, I mean, Reagan, everybody else, they've all discussed it in their sound bites, in their
I think
writings.
that all has to do with when they decided they're going to make everything a globe, though. Because von Braun was around until like the 80s, wasn't he?
Yeah, because he basically admitted that the shape of the world is not what we've actually been presented.
He went there.
Right.
Everybody went there. And then all of a sudden, a year later, you get NASA? Come on.
Yep. Thank you. JPL. Jack Parsons, he was an occultist. So it's deep, but data points to the big puzzle that creates a bigger picture, to form these things of what you can put your finger on, because it's very deep. And look, we're born again. We read scriptures. It's all laid out in scripture. God's so brilliant. A bunch of sheep herders that were ignorant didn't write that book. I mean, I've come to that conclusion a long time ago. I mean, it's real simple. The word itself is God's living word. That's it. But it's in stone. It's there. It's preserved. It's kept. That's King James 16:11. That's nobody will ever convince me different, because I spent 2 years looking into that, like I said a while ago.
Dude, I know a guy who used to clean cars, though, who says that it's lies.
Yeah, I know it. That all that wisdom. No wisdom. Wait a minute. He's just intelligent, bro.
But
he's 29. Isn't it? Please.
$49.95 free shipping.
Cash app.
Yes.
Talks very quick, very intelligent guy. Like we spoke earlier about this in the pre-show.
Yes.
Where's the wisdom? There is no wisdom there.
No.
Anybody can speak very quick. And yes, what makes him dangerous is his intelligence. Because I've been down that road too. Look what I know. Oh, really? What do you think you know?
Yeah.
If it's not based on God's word, throw it out. And we can all do research and be a journalist or look well into things, because the Lord says that. Look well into things. That's talking about his word, but you use the world, of course, because we're in the physical. We have to take these things into consideration, like me and Max discussed a while ago. Be apprised. Be alert. It's like Gideon's army, sound the alarm. The sand's a very comfortable place for your head. I know that.
Yeah.
But I think God gave me a different character, because I started questioning the narrative at 7, 8 years old. We've discussed that before too.
You were one of those kids.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. No doubt about it. And I'm still one of those people. So,
Yeah.
I don't use 10% of my brain. God gave me 100% to use. So I didn't come from some primate.
I went on hiatus for a bit in the corporate world. That's about it. Even then, yeah. I went on hiatus.
You saw the great facade for what it was.
I had a boomer life for about 4 or 5 years. Sorry to say.
I'm
always picking on the boomers, but I did. It was like, I made more money than I was worth, and kind of just played video games and kind of did nothing. I didn't really have to worry about much of anything, and that's whatever. No reason to question anything if you don't, if you don't have a reason to. Like people that are taking their gene therapy, it's like, well, why would I question my doctor? Why would I question what the government says? Why would I question this? They say it's bad,
right?
And that's the perspective that's where their perspective is coming from.
Sure,
which makes the government that much more evil.
You better believe it. You better believe it.
Not even having part of the government say that, there might be some problems here, except for, Rand Paul pretending. pretending to
exactly.
go
That's
after.
exactly what he's doing. You better believe it's all a stage show. I mean, there's,
Yes.
sure, there's always a handful of good people, but again, they're limited.
They're not going to be getting the microphone.
No, they're not. Put me in front of a microphone
You'll
in
have
Congress. They would shoot me on the spot. Are you
you'll,
kidding?
you'll have a letter that's going to get shredded, right? Your letter to the press that gets shredded by the press.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, there's no alien news on Sludge Report, so I don't know.
Not today, anyway.
Anyway, I wanted to say about when it comes to the whole alien thing and people that say that there's these craft that defy physics, and it's like that's the key right there.
Right.
Nothing can defy physics.
Right.
Otherwise,
only
physics
something
wouldn't
supernatural.
exist.
Right. You got it.
Well, even then, I don't think it can't really deny physics if it's manifest itself in material form. I'm not. If you go that far with the lights, then you've got to have Satan literally standing here and whatever he looks like, and I don't know.
It's interesting. It's interesting because I know what I've seen in the physical that I can't explain. But people today use the terminology of UFOs. Well, sure, it's just unidentified. But when you say extraterrestrial craft, that's something totally different.
Yeah, I mean it's lights in the sky, just like stars are lights in the sky and planets are lights in the sky.
Sure,
and
you can see these craft.
You have meteors and asteroids and all this stuff that, well, now we know aren't actually big chunks of rock burning up in the atmosphere. We don't know what they are. They're probably satellite balloons falling from the sky.
Bingo.
And that's probably what they are.
That's what I'm leaning toward too.
But, who knows? But the point is that we know they factually are not rocks or whatever. So all they are at this point is lights in the sky. And what they're doing now with the most recent fake shuttle launches, so they don't have to pay for a rocket and a light show. They're just using holograms.
That's it. Save that money.
David Weiss has on one of his playlists about fake rockaloons or something, where the rockets and like the space shuttle are just balloons.
Oh, thank you, by the way, for turning me on to him, because he's one of the best out there I've seen.
He is one of the best. Anyone who's interested in any sort of flat earth anything, you go to DITRH. I'll just pull it up on my other thing. David Weiss is his name, and that's by far the best place to go for questions answered. Let's see. Anyways, yeah, he shows where there's like the big container that's supposed to be a fuel cell for the space shuttle. That's actually filled with like helium, and it's a balloon. Like factually, and these rockets, the reason that they have like a little they have like a holder at the top, there's like always like a crane at the top or something at the top to like hold the rocket from falling over or something. I don't know. But it turns out that's like holding the balloon, so it looks stiff and rigid. And it's like you got a rocket base down at the bottom to make little sparks and make it go up in the air. But it's if you looked at the specs of these things weighing millions of pounds, they would never fly.
It's an impossibility. That's right.
So, anyways, Dave Weiss has the DITRH has the videos all over there. Search his channel for all the different stuff. I don't know where he finds the videos, honestly.
I don't either. He's got some kind of a source, man. It's very interesting because he'll show stuff that I've never seen or don't see from anybody else.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
And he's got his clock app and how all that works. Yeah. In case anyone doesn't know, this guy is just a big clock, 24-hour clock.
Sure, the Georgia Guidestones wouldn't work on a spinning ball.
Nothing would work on a spinning ball.
No, that's true. Absolutely.
The sky wouldn't work on a spinning ball.
Absolutely. Pressurization with an atmosphere, but it's in a vacuum. Okay. Yes. Can you say BS? Bravo.
Well, that was the best one. I mean, it's like once you're past that point, and understanding that whole thing, it's like nothing. It's like you automatically you can see the straight through the veil.
Yes, you can. Absolutely, Max.
Oh, the hackers are going after the meat. Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah.
to the left and to the right. Yeah, jokers and clowns.
UFO thing is nothing but a massive deception, part of the strong delusion God is sending. Yeah.
It's a possibility. That's what I believe as well, to a point.
I think the strong delusion is the Earth thing, but
yeah, we've talked
who
about
knows?
that. Yeah, could be a combination of things, but he said he would be the one to send it. Who's he sending it to?
The space alien thing kind of fits into that whole deal, because if you've got a flat Earth with a dome on top, there probably ain't going to be any space aliens, is there?
Doesn't work. That's right. That's exactly right. As I told you, one of the major flags that woke me up that the Lord let me see years ago about studying this thing was abductions. And I know there's a lot to that. But again, that goes back to the spiritual aspect, and then how much of that's involved with the government, aka Men in Black. The credibility's there with people, and their writings and their story with people that has everything to lose. So everything goes back to credibility. It's just like in the court of law. We spoke on this before in another video. But during my research, what really stood out to me was there's 1% roughly that's supposed Christians or self-professing that are abducted, or in the process of being abducted. And what they'll do, they'll stop and rebuke it in the Lord's name, and these things disappear. And at that moment, It was like, okay, it was clarity to me. Is this natural or supernatural? So that was a huge red flag for me, and I started slowly turning away from that and getting that biblical worldview that I discussed earlier. So, it's like, is it a real phenomenon? Yes. But is it what the world presented to be? No. That's the trick right there. And I guarantee it's something Satan's more than likely going to use.
Victoria says the strong delusion is people believe in Antichrist as Jesus. Yep.
Yeah,
I think there's I don't know. I mean, hard to say, because there's going to be so much involved in that. Just like right now, people, although not as much as I would figure, there's a lot of people out there that, it's the end times, the demons are coming any day now, and this, that, and it's like, we're not. Exactly. They're already here. But the other thing is like, we're not even close.
Coming out of CERN, right?
We're not even close to a one world government yet. So that whole thing.
Sure.
People that are gearing up for the 7-year tribulation, I'm like, so what? 20 years from now, you think your food's going to hold out until then? I mean, maybe you should start buying.
Like, your supply is not. I know
if you're planning on staying here and being here for the tribulation, you probably shouldn't even worry about buying until you have some semblance of a new world order. Actual.
Maybe
obviously,
Father Brian's collecting everything he can.
Yeah,
he acts like he's building a kingdom here to live through it, so he can.
Well, he's building
endure to the end. That's it, man.
He's building 3 kingdoms.
What, the main ministry, the secondary ministry, and
this
then
is my ministry kingdom. This is my vacation kingdom.
Oh, what a clown! Absolute clown.
But yeah, I mean, we have the new world order in that they're very powerful people in control because they control the money. But just think about this. If they did not control the money and you didn't have this Rothschild banking system and people could actually skirt around it, they wouldn't have any power at all. All.
That's true.
The only reason the United States has any power is because they control the money with guns. And that's it.
Got it.
So you take away America's guns and no one's going to use their currency. Okay. And that's it. And that's all it all revolves around. So when people want to say like cryptocurrency is the Antichrist and all this stuff, it's like, no, that is the solution to the problem. But if people don't jump on the solution to the problem and start using the solution to the problem, the government is going to create their own crypto, and then you're going to be screwed
back into the system again.
You're going to be screwed. You're just going to be forced to use their crypto because you didn't support whatever it happens to be. Okay. And I'm not, as far as that stuff goes, there's all sorts of different crypto programs and crypto currencies for privacy and all these different things that are all take the control of money out of the governments to where it's back to person, and it can completely take down this system. This is the only way that this New World Order system works, is because they control the money.
And you know what my theory is on that, as far as the New World Order, the more I study things,
Yeah.
I believe it's set up to fail, and people are going to rise up in this New Age spiritual enlightenment movement, tear it down, and Satan's going to be behind that as well.
Well,
so what are you going to? Yeah.
That's the Witsit plan.
Well, you know, I see too much of this stuff. I've studied
Yeah, well, I
it
mean,
too
it's
long,
totally,
and it's too easy.
It's totally possible that you're going to have you could have, of course, the great collapse of everything, and like money's no good anywhere and all this stuff. And then out of the ashes, here comes Trump with his white robe.
Sure. The Phoenix rises, right? Order out of chaos.
He goes, I've had enough of China.
China.
Bring everybody to heaven. Yeah. I mean, it's a thing, but the way it is now and the way that it's shaping up to just have our big technocracy, corporatocracy, where everything's just a big faceless corporation and all that.
Yep.
It's like you've got America and a couple of the nations of the EU and like Canada and the big players in there, but all these little countries, they're not playing. Mexico's not playing. They're not in all this stuff. It's like they'll begrudgingly go along with things because they kind of have to, but
right.
Nobody is all gangbusters.
Right.
So we got a little ways to go before that happens. When, and of course, economic collapse for everybody worldwide could potentially do that. But then that's still
right.
Nothing happens quickly, right?
Sure. Unless it's evolution. So,
yeah, that's remarkably quick. But it's only hundreds of billions or trillions of years.
Interesting. Pseudoscience at its best.
Speaking of pseudoscience, we have Starfleet Command up on the screen.
I love it. I can't wait, man.
Right next to Space Force.
I'm going to join.
I do. I want to join Space Force just so I can shoot down Saddaloons.
Saddaloons. I love it.
That's all I can think.
That's pretty good, man.
That's all I can think when I look in the sky and I see those daisy chains of stupidity up in the sky.
I love
it. Is how can I get something that high to maybe take a very close picture, and if my camera accidentally smashes into it and knocks it out of the sky, so be it. What kind of a thing would I need? And yeah, that's my new project for this year. I don't know. Could you imagine? I mean, and they say that they're launching those things up into actual space. Could you imagine how ridiculous that is?
Yeah. From a physics standpoint, sure.
Will they be launching a rocket like every 10 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. With all that supposed debris floating around. So,
yeah.
Come on.
It's like they're complaining about debris and we need more money for our ISS space station, but then we're launching up something like 2,800 Starlink satellites this year. Incredible. to a goal of 14,000, I think.
I mean,
wow. I'm pretty sure it's 14,000. It's been a while since I looked at that article, but it's like 1,800 to 2,000 a year until they get 14,000. So you can already see them up in the sky when they just have 1,000 of them up there running around. You imagine when they have 14 times as many?
Yeah, you won't even be able to see the moon or the sun.
Man, those things are going to be landing in people's yards like all over the place.
I'll take
their little balloons on them and stuff.
Sure. Make all kind of projects.
That's going to be hilarious. They're going to have to say, that was the other idea, was that they're going to have to come out and say that the earth is flat, it's not a globe, but we had to make up this story because the aliens made us, or something like that.
I've never heard of that proposed.
Well, they're going to have to, because you can't hide it. And like,
no,
if satellites, stuff like this does break, right? And it's like when we have like satellites that are like spy satellites, they're like round the clock maintained and watched as to where they are and exactly what's going on. And there's planes with little scissors on the front of them to make sure, like, whatever, grabbers, they fly and then they grab the cables that are attached to the thing, and they retrieve these things and then they relaunch them. And it's a whole network, an entire part of what the Air Force and NASA is doing. But now when you have 14,000 satellites up there, satelloons added to what you have, there's no way you can maintain that. You just have to hope that they work and don't fall out of the sky.
Hey, Max,
Yeah,
hang on 1 second, man. I got to plug in the power to my headset.
sure. So anyways, you got to hope these things aren't just falling out of the sky. And who pays for it? Is Elon going to cut me a check when the satellite goes straight through my house? I don't know. We'll take a look at what we have going on in the chat here. A lot of people think the government is going to use UFOs to explain away the rapture. Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, I've heard that theory for, I don't know, 15 years.
The other thing is too, is like, we're kind of uncertain as to if the rapture happened, if anyone would even notice, right? I mean, depending on
so few.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell how, you know, it's kind of hard to tell who's actually a real Christian and who's just looking for the paycheck.
About testimony only. I mean, we try to look at actions too, and I think that's part of it to a point without being being judgmental in the proper way in the biblical context. We get that, but it's ultimately comes down to the individual and God. I don't own the Lamb's Book of Life. None of us do. That's not my place to make that call.
Michael says, "Good news, Max. I think Brian's finally quitting YouTube." Yeah, he's apparently gone.
Yay!
He wants to be a clickbait artist, and so that's his new thing. Is YouTube didn't like him talking about getting gene therapy. Imagine that. And then he complains about getting his stuff getting taken down. It's like, yeah, everybody knows that they're CIA government organization. So when you directly say stuff like that, you're gonna have to kind of expect that.
Sure. And I can respect it to a degree. And as far as being brave and being bold and standing on truth, there's a fine line in that. But what do you expect?
Well, you do that on places like Odyssey, and you do that in places where you can get away with it. But I mean, it's like people have been getting kicked off of YouTube for the last year now on this stuff. So it's not it's a secret.
Right. Exactly. Where did Brian end up going? Father Brian?
Nowhere.
Good riddance. I thought he went to another platform, didn't he?
He was going to try Rumble, but they're going to kick him off there. I mean, here's the thing is like, when it comes to religious ideology and things, and when you're preaching different things, YouTube is probably one of the better ones to go. Because if you go to BitChute, there is a lot of people who dislike Jews on there. For whatever reason, it's like the Nazi hangout of the world.
I've noticed that. I have noticed that.
So if you have anything religious on there, you get a whole bunch of Nazis who just want to, whatever. Yep. So you've got that, and then Rumble and these other channels are like entertainment gamer channels. They don't care, like DLive and stuff like that. DLive would be okay, but then you'd have to set yourself to a schedule now, Father Brian. You'd actually would have to, do it. You'd actually have to do that, which I know I'm too lazy to do that too. I wouldn't do that either. But whatever. All these other platforms, I've looked at them, and it's like you kind of have to roll with the punches. With YouTube, I can handle censorship as much as whatever. And of course, there's other platforms you put out more risky stuff or whatever, but or more truth.
You're shadow banned.
Not really. Yeah, I am, because they haven't messed with me at all, amazingly.
Yeah,
but
that's interesting.
What gets me, and the reason that I was going to completely quit pretty much instantly, was nothing to do with censorship and nothing to do with, people trying to strike my channel and all this. It had to do with the fact, or even being shadow banned. It's actually been kind of a good thing to be shadow banned. But what got me was when they sent the notification that says, even though you're not part of our creator our partnership program, we are still going to monetize your videos, and we're going to take all the revenue, and we're going to stuff commercials on your stuff. And it also says in there that they basically own your stuff just for the fact of you uploading to their platform. And that was basically going to be it with it. And I kind of decided, like, well, it's not like anyone's ever going to buy Max Bauer collection on a DVD for $500. So I decided that, you know what, YouTube, if you can make some money with my stuff, you go for it. You go for it. because hey, I've done all I can with it.
That's
And
hilarious.
that was my thing. And it's like, that is the stickler, is because they're outright robbing me. You know, when they're
Sure.
doing that, they're outright robbing me. I mean, the amount of thousands of hours of accumulated time on my metrics that I have in like 1 year's in 1 month's time, people
Eight.
watch more than a year's in hours worth of my content. And it's like, now they're just going to steal that attention span, and they're going to put crappy commercials. You know, the big reason for not monetizing is not so much that it's not right to get paid for your work. You certainly should. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian channel or not. The thing is, if you don't have control over the commercials that they're going to stick into your stuff. So
you got it.
you could be doing a thing about, you know,
I know where you're going with this.
Right. Adultery and fornication. You look at a woman with lust in your heart, and then they stick in a boner pill ad right in the middle of your video.
Yeah, they do it on purpose.
Well, they would do that because the metrics would key in on that. They go, oh, he's talking about sex. Let's talk about male enhancement.
That's it.
Let's talk about Norplant. Let's put that in there. Right. And that's the big problem with monetization, not making a nickel off your putting your video up. I mean, you should make a nickel off putting your video up.
Sure.
But yeah, that got me. And you know, I'm kind of over it now, but that was like, there is no hope for YouTube. There is no getting anything back. And just the very fact that the practice like that is basically, we're stealing your work and going to make merchandise out of you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, that's the new world order. All right. And of course, now there's Odyssey. Back when this happened, there was no Odyssey. There was no library. There was no nothing. You had BitChute. You could hang out with all of the people with the little mustaches who worship Adolf Hitlerio. Right?
Hitlerio.
We'll hang up with those guys out on BitChute, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And all of the audience is pretty well on YouTube, you know, and whatever. It's just hopefully, you know, everyone's subscribed to Odyssey library. It's the same thing. Odyssey is basically like a YouTube front end for it, and it is a peer-to-peer, sort of like a crypto thing, okay, where nobody can ever censor anything on library unless you're breaking somebody's copyright, and then Odyssey will take your stuff down.
You got
but if you're on library, the blockchain, nothing can ever take it off of it. And that's what there is to it. Also, Odyssey has recently done live streaming, and it requires a bit of work in order to get it going, and I have to use a third-party program, OBS Studio, to get it to stream up there, which is not a big deal. I just haven't had the time, but eventually that's probably what's going to be happen. Because I'm actually really in the stuff that we're talking about today is like voodoo stuff for YouTube, where people are getting thrown off left and right for it. But to me, this is really, really tame compared to the stuff that I normally talk about.
Sure.
I mean, what? I mean, it's really tame for the stuff that I'd be doing like a year ago or something like that.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I could get popped at any time, and that's fine. I'll just be up on Odyssey and be streaming that. And that's what YouTube had that other people didn't, was the streaming thing. But now that's taken care of. And now there's a censorship resistant platform for people to put their things at. And the government, of course, is going after them because they don't like the fact that they can put stuff up, and there is no control that
absolutely
anybody has over anything on the library chain. Right. Odyssey is a front end, and they're their own private corp, and they can do whatever they want with what's shown on the front end. But the library chain and the videos that are there are always going to be there. And they're doing live streaming now and all this other stuff. So that is where we go. And, you know, it's kind of like all these things, you come up with this info. You can't just kind of just sit around and say, well, God will protect me through all this stuff. It's like, if there's something blatantly easy for you to do, like subscribe in another web page, you should probably do that. It's not very hard. And by supporting these things, it's giving you more freedom, and it's giving you a huge benefit to support these things that are skirting around some of these rules and regulations that certain alphabet agencies say we have to abide by. And it's not against the law to go out and find the truth. It's not against the law to watch even something that's untrue. Nothing is against the law for me watching a television program for the heck of it. Okay.
Sure.
Oh, the fact checker said that it's not right. And I'm like, well, I don't care if it's right or not. I just want to watch
freedom
something.
of expression comes with a price, just like speech, but that's your inherent right by God. So, if you can offend somebody, then so be it. But that's on the individual, not you. Change the channel. It's always been that way.
Yeah.
But YouTube is very vicarious. They have us in a very interesting quandary because it is the most massive channel ever.
That's because it's it's a monopoly and forces
absolutely
people like Google's already been fined for their monopoly practices. Of course, here's the thing. How come when you search for a video of mine that's on 3 or 4 different platforms, the only things that show up on Google are the YouTube ones? Monopoly much.
You got it.
You cannot find anything on Vimeo. You cannot find anything on BitChute on Google. Why not? Why not?
Microsoft was broke up years ago because they were deemed to be a monopoly. No, the way I look at it is called commerce. It's called free trade. All that has to take effect. It's just like what we were talking about in the last video, the one before. If I want to spend my good hard-earned money on a better product, that's me. That's my
and the thing is too, first name, last name said he's going to go to Odyssey and check me out. Look, guys, Odyssey is not just something that's just a censorship resistant thing. It pays you for watching videos, and it pays me for watching my videos, and you putting the little flame icon or whatever on my video. I don't know what it is, but
I put the torch on you every time.
Right. You put the torch thing on me, and then it gives a small fraction of your free cryptocurrency it gives you, and it adds it to my account. And then it like disseminates that to all these other people and puts me on the front page, and everybody gets paid in cryptocurrency. Now, granted, it's brand new, so the crypto's almost worthless, but it's better than nothing. Right. It's a thing that it's like,
incentive.
What is YouTube paying you to do? Nothing. They're stealing creators' money. They're censoring everything that's up there.
Yep.
It's terrible. So Odyssey is
25 of the best gun channels that I've ever been involved with in the past 10, 15 years. They're gone.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that. Is it?
Oh, it's run rampant, man.
Is there any particular? Is there like the historic gun channels are all still there? Like the guys.
Yeah, a lot of these people not necessarily sell out, but a lot of them stay away from the politics, and you can't show certain weapons. As far as the mindset of repair or gunsmithing, it's very limited. Oh, it's all crazy. If you do a live stream, you can't even show a real weapon in the background on a gun channel because they'll strike it and take it down. Really? So a lot of these guys, they've got to work around it. So they're doing the best they can with nothing. And they've either lost half their subscription base because of it, which I understand. Then you got your loyalists like me. And a lot of these guys are smart, and they've seen this coming like you a while back. And they're on different platforms with them. So it's like, okay, they can be themselves. I can sit and watch, basically how to work on weapons, because I'm a gunsmith myself. I work on H&Ks. That's what I'm, was taught to do. But I go to specific channels to look at these weapons that just not too long ago, YouTube was the place. That's where you went.
Yeah.
All the fundamentals for every aspect of weapons was there, just like electronics or anything else. But a lot of those particular hobbies or subject matters are neutral. They make their money. They do their thing. They're non-political. Here it is. It's harmless in YouTube's algorithm. But you come over to the religious aspect, anything else in between that, it's politics or whatever, it's heavily censored.
Yeah.
And that's back to the bigger narrative that's at play here, and we get it. So, but it's sad, but it's good to see that some of those other channels are starting to gain some ground.
Yeah. A lot of the I know of course the truther channels are all getting smacked. And
oh man, it's terrible. You can't find a third of what me and you used to look at.
Oh, they're all gone. I can't think of any who are left.
Dude.
The last one was Corbett Report. I'm like, dude, how did you hang out for as long as you did? That's impossible.
Yep. You got it. but that's the day and time we live in. And I follow him. You know, I don't subscribe to anything, but I follow him on his main web page and his
Yeah.
other platforms.
You know
So he
what's
puts
we
up.
know what's great now. We all listen to this guy too, but we all listen to Dollar Vigilante because we do
Oh
the
yeah,
crypto thing, and Dollar Vigilante, Jeff Berwick, is a truther guy, and he
big
has a
time.
lot of other friendships with other truther people
Yep,
in various different things. So on his web's page, which I think is dollarvigilante.com, right?
that's it. That's it.
And dollarvigilante.com, he hosts videos for all of his friends. So you can go there and see Corbett Report. You can go there and
Yeah,
see
love it.
what's that guy's name? Corbett Report. I think you can
James.
even have the Urban Farmer up there,
Yeah,
and a lot of different people with all of pretty much the best stuff. So it's like his place is a one-stop shop where those are the
you better
guys.
know it. That's
Those are the
it.
guys that looks the kind of the anarchist perspective on a lot of things, to where like, you don't like playing ball necessarily when the old that old guy comes around there asking what about your capital gains, and it's well, I don't know. We had a boating accident. We lost quite a bit. Um, you know,
That's funny.
there's a lot of guys up there that are
Doug
Max
Stauffer.
Egan,
That's it, Amy. That's him.
Doug Stauffer.
Yep, that's one of them.
Max Egan's a good one,
Oh yeah,
and they're all up on that site, all collected. And of course,
you gotta
Dollar
love it.
Vigilante stuff and Crypto Vigilante to learn all about crypto stuff. So
There you go.
if you're not going to do that, if you're not going to do the Odyssey thing, you got to go do that. You really can, as opposed to like junior high school education, you could just listen to a couple of those videos a day and you'd learn way more. Anything
Yeah,
you ever learned
amen.
in
You
junior
better
high
believe
school.
that. No doubt. No doubt, man. Indoctrination centers. I mean, it's just run amok, man. You know, but here's a prayer that was been answered. I've been praying about this with my niece for several years now to take her child out of school, public
Yeah.
school, and she just did that recently. And she started waking up to everything that's going on around her. You know, she
Yeah.
was the one that put the labels on me a few years ago as far as being autistic or a savant or this, that, or the other. And that's where the inside joke comes from. Because I
Uh,
get it. People don't, you know, words mean something, obviously.
yeah.
But my big pet peeve is the misappropriation of that and labels, because we're all guilty. But
Oh,
we're
sure.
byproducts of our environment. And, you know, I was that special needs kid that was put in those classes that
Yeah.
wasn't necessary. It was more about my mother at the time, but it's another story. But I set out to prove something, I think, to people and myself. And then along the way, I let all that go, you know,
Yeah.
because it's not about me. It's not about the pride, but it hurts. You know, people, you have to accept it. And once you accept how people are, it makes things so much easier. It's just like Max was discussing earlier. Once you see the bigger picture, if you're born again, don't worry about nothing. There's nothing to fear. He didn't give us a spirit of fear. But you know, that was, man, that was a big one for me.
Yeah.
My sister let me know this about a week ago. And I think she said that she done. So I think she's really starting to break out of the normie spell and starting
Yeah.
to really question things because
Well,
she's born again. And it's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? None of this stuff's making sense. You know,
yeah, you
maybe
get
Jimmy
the
was right. Well, I mean, she told my sister, she said, look, we were the ones that thought Uncle Jimmy was the crazy uncle, but oh, hell no, we were the morons. And I'm like, no, it's not about that. I get it. It's your perception of what you think reality is.
well, people don't even notice it. And then
That's it. That's the whole point.
what happens is something hits you and it makes you think for a second. Then you go, "Hey, when did they put razor wire up around the playground? When did that happen?
Facing on the inside to keep people in, not out.
Yeah, when did that happen?"
Constantine, why are at that?
Oh, it's always a
Interesting.
wonderful thing. I think a lot of people are waking. What do you think? What do you think our odds are for the future? Huh? You think we're gonna have a spiritual uplifting where everybody is gonna figure out that you know they all need to
Look,
get
the
cryptocurrency?
time for, there you go, man. I think the days of revival are pretty much over.
Think so?
You got little pockets here and there. I think a big one's going to be after we're gone. I really do, for obvious reasons. But
Yeah.
For now,
They're all
I
going to
don't
be
know.
mad that the government turned their chip off. Is that
Well,
what the revival is going to be?
well, those who do take the mark, we talked a lot about that.
Yeah.
It's a volitional thing. It comes down to free will, and you're going to see it for what it is. But we're not of the world. That's the difference. Those people are going to be there for their testimony and lose their lives. And the other part of the equation, certain amount of people the Lord's going to protect, and they'll actually be able to physically walk into the kingdom. But
That'd
as
be
far as,
interesting.
yeah, I think it'd be really interesting. But all the ins and outs, a lot of the details of that, I don't know. But I know it's going to be a literal hell on earth for people. So I really feel for people. And that's why I'm so passionate about the gospel and getting it right. That's the key. Your walk after, that's different. That we're all on different levels of that walk.
A lot of people haven't even figured out the gospel yet, apparently.
Well,
But
it's always been there. It's always been that convoluted. He said, no, faith of a child, make it simple. That's why it's called the good news. He paid it all, said it was finished at Calvary, the thief on the cross. What more do you need? Any man that believeth on the Lord Jesus Christ shall be saved, period.
yeah.
Okay, you admit you're a sinner. You can't make it. You can't pay it all. That's why God said few would find heaven. I studied that out for a long time about that one particular passage me and you always bring up.
Well,
And you brought up
obviously,
something interesting to me last week that I never thought about what you said as far as that aspect of the part of that scripture. I never thought of it in that light. Because he said many on that day would say, Lord, Lord.
yeah.
Look at the wonderful works. And to me, that was always a key word.
Yeah.
That we've done in your name. So they professed his name at one time in their life. But the key point to me was look at the wonderful works that we did. We prophesied in your name. We cast out devils in your name. And he'll say, turn from me, you workers of iniquity, being unequal. Okay, they were trusting in a system or themselves. Works primarily is what I get from it. And they never knew Christ. They didn't have a relationship with him because they wasn't born again. It's real clear to me.
Right. Well, I washed cars in your name, and I stayed home on Saturday.
That's funny.
I read the Hebrew gospel. I retranslated your Bible.
You just made me spit up Mountain Dew.
It wasn't that funny.
Oh, it was to me. I like your sense of humor, but whatever. I've got a strange one myself, and it's just funny, dude.
Well, the wonderful works, when people are talking about like the Antichrist system, and it's like, yeah, well, the government's doing their new world ordery thing, and that's just what they are. And the Bible talks all about that, and it's always been that way. People who think, oh, things are all really bad now, and it's like, well, they're affecting your, depending on where you are. I mean, in some countries, it's always probably getting better in some countries. But like
Sure.
in America, it's always been pretty good. And now we're kind of feeling our new world order tension, but the new world order has always been there.
You got it.
And it's Rome was in there messing people over, unfairly taxing, enslaving people, and all this stuff.
Sure.
It's
Magna
it's
Carta.
always
Rome
been
never
there.
left. Right.
And it kind of goes in cycles, and they get a little farther and a little farther.
Right.
But one thing that it's always stayed the same throughout the whole time is the Roman Catholic Church. There is your Antichrist system. It's your Antichrist system. And the Bible speaks directly to them. Anytime they're talking about this stuff with the work salvation and all this stuff, the guys who are in purple and scarlet color and the whore, all this stuff, it's like, oh, Roman Catholicism. So all of those,
real clear.
Any of those verses that have anything, it's like, oh, Roman Catholic. When you think works of it, we're Roman Catholic. And that's it. That's all there is to it.
Sure.
And I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised that you find out that these Hebrew rooting guys and all of these guys, they all somehow link back to Roman Catholicism and Jesuits.
Bingo.
I would not be surprised at all.
Yep. The Jesuit thing, I know the order. I've read all the books. It's spot on. That's Satan minions. And there's some of the big guys on top. There's no doubt about that. But do I fear them? Hell no.
Oh, no.
There's no way. I just laugh at it. Like that scripture says that God's up there laughing at the foolish, the wicked. Yeah. Okay. I see why. They're bozos, man. Complete sideshow. It's going way off the rails.
I don't know. It's like there are some very devout Catholics, and it's like how if you love God that much to do all that stuff, you never. I don't know. That's a root. It's a hard one for me to wrap my head around. Is that people that study that much and follow all that much, and they never get to the truth, or they just what? I
Okay,
mean,
well, how earnest
mind
are you?
control.
How much of that is just religion and traditions of men? I'd say that's 99% because they're indoctrinated.
Well, I don't
Just like
know.
in,
My grandmother wrote a book on Catholicism,
it's what you
so
told me. We've talked about that.
and
It's
I'm like,
interesting.
I this is she died when I was like 12 or something, but
Sure.
um, she was very devout Catholic, and I saw the book she wrote, right,
Yeah.
and I don't know what to think about any of that stuff. I mean, other than my dad never mentioned God once in his life, I don't think,
Yeah.
except
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. I got you.
yeah,
That's sad.
that's the only time he's ever used it. And same with my uncle, as a brother, never nothing. And so I don't know. It's hard to say.
Well, this
Hard
is
to
what
say.
I'll say. I'm not that guy that lumps all of Catholicism together because there's varying forms of that. And yes, we all know they go by a different tenet and book and their established order as far as the temporal order. And that's a deep conversation. But any organization, and that's what it is, that's about control, and you've got roughly 1.5 billion people under that, and there's been a mass exodus from that in the past several years, and I thank God because they can see this Jesuit idiot for what he is. A lot of people, Lord's letting them see it. Now, amen, amen.
Mm-hmm.
But when they say they put their traditions above Scripture, that's all I need to know. We can study the rest of it, but it's blatantly heretical. There's no doubt about it. But it's I don't know. It's like I said before, man. We live in interesting times. There was something I was wanting to get at, but it kind of slipped my mind. I'm thinking of two different
Well,
things at once, so I got to
I don't
slow
know.
down.
The Pope says that he's ruling as Christ on earth. I mean, that's good enough for me,
Vicar of
right?
Christ, which he stepped down from, and we spoke about that because he's making way for.
Yeah, he's making way for the main guy.
You got it.
So in that sense, we're not that far off from that part of it,
Absolutely.
but the one world government, I mean, unless you want to be very allegorical with that and say
Right.
that the new world family system and the money system with the Rothschilds and all these guys, that's in place sort of, but you don't have all of these different militaries working together and all that stuff. I don't know. We don't have
That's
our one world currency yet, which
that's it. But
we will
it's
10
in
years.
plans. You got it.
Within 10 years we will.
Sure. I absolutely agree. No way around it. But like I said earlier, I really think all this is a setup, and that's going to be part of that grand illusion, that Victoria touched on earlier. And I believe that. And I've thought about that for years, and I think she makes a good point. About when the Jews see their Messiah, he's gonna perform miracles. He's gonna cast down.
Is there any candidates for that? Because I can't think of anybody that Jews like.
Well, he's supposedly supposed to be a man that comes out of Syria. Other than that, I don't know.
You
From
know,
what I gathered from.
I asked Witsit says that Trump's the guy out of Syria.
Oh,
Or
God,
Trump
please,
fulfills the Antichrist role, and I'm like, fine.
please,
I'll be entertained by this. I don't care. And I asked, pray tell, um,
pray
Trump
tell.
is Assyrian? Question mark. And he read that one and he said yes, because Assyria is actually Germany. And I'm like, what?
He's a moron.
And so, anyways, yes, 6,000 years ago, Assyria was Germany. I don't think that's what they're talking about.
No,
But Assyria actually covers like the entire territory, even like where Israel is. So
that's it. Right.
I would think a Palestinian guy, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Really don't know.
Or a guy from like Iran, but German. I mean, like what? You're gonna have a French guy? I mean, because when you're talking Assyrian, that would be all of Europe if you want to go back that far, because they had like an Assyrian empire that covered
Sure.
all of Europe.
Absolutely.
I
Don't
don't
know.
know.
A lot of speculation.
So do you think it's Trump? Come on, Trump. Go
No,
Trump. Go.
is he one of them? Sure. Most of us get that. That's where I separate myself as far as the God and country thing, like with Brother Ed, not calling him out, but I don't think he sees the bigger picture because of his background. And I understand that. It took me years to fight that. I mean, you've had that discussion too. That's a
Yeah.
cognitive dissonant thing, and it's what is patriotism? It's what it comes down to. A lot of people, you see a lot of
Yeah.
the anti-America movement, the sentiment that's always been there, but it's like it's the same as the culture or race discussion. I see us being one race under God. I'm not a racist. I don't believe in that.
Yeah. I
I
don't know.
never have. I've always questioned that. Even as a child, I was like, what? You're going to treat people different, or there's going to be slaves because of a different color? What are people,
Oh,
stupid?
I don't know. I mean, we're the biggest slave country in the world,
Yeah, that's true. That's a fact.
and
That is an
most
absolute
a
fact.
lot of people don't have any idea about any of that. But anybody who
No.
say bucks the system in any way, shape, or form, or does anything deemed inappropriate with the laws or anything like that knows all about it. And especially if you're
Sure.
involved in any sort of drug anything, you're basically worse than a murderer. And because
Yeah,
that'll
it's
allow you to
insane.
throw you in prison and be a slave for however long they determine. And then
Sure.
when you get out, then they make whatever you were thrown in there for legal. And that's
Yeah,
just
isn't that
how it
rich?
is.
Yep. Corrupt system. All about money
Right
and
now,
corruption. If there's no victim, there's no crime. You know where I stand on all that.
now they're mad
You know.
because they have to get rid of all their police dogs because they don't know the difference between pot and heroin.
Well, that's good because most of them abuse their animals anyway.
Yeah, I actually have a story on that I was actually going to talk about, but that's more of a thing about the Minneapolis police and the state of police these days. But since we're
You
talking
talk.
a little bit about that,
Yep, that's it.
the
A friend of
Georgia
mine runs.
K9 officer.
Yeah, yeah. I saw a friend of mine cover this video.
Jack, didn't you
Uh,
used to have a dog? No.
oh yeah, still do.
Were you recently demoted? No.
I actually got a promotion,
So this
but I
story
treat my animal well.
So this story is about a guy, a cop who goes home who's a canine cop, and he thought he took the dog out of the car, I guess, and put it in the kennel,
Oh,
and he
please.
didn't. And the little warning buzzer that because the cops need a warning buzzer to let him know
Right.
there's a dog in the car
That's
apparently
right.
wasn't working or something. He had some kind of an excuse like that. The dog dies, and the sergeant cop guy gets demoted, and he gets leave without pay. Okay, which I thought was very
Ooh,
interesting. He gets leave without pay.
yeah,
That
that's
same
unusual.
cop could go shoot an autistic unarmed person on the side of the street, and he wouldn't get leave without pay. He
Yep.
would get leave with pay for 6 months while they decide whether or not they're going to charge him with something.
Well, animals have more rights than we do. They're more special. You
Absolutely.
know that,
And
sure.
in
It's
this,
crazy.
he's only getting leave without pay because the dogs cost a lot of money.
That's right.
But like if you harm that dog, that's considered a police officer and you go to jail
Yep, that's
as
exactly
though
right.
you have assaulted a person. But the cop, he leaves the dog in the car out of idiot negligence. Even though he has idiot warning buzzers and every
Yes.
possible opportunity you could possibly have to not do something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he gets, a little leave of absence and demotion. And that's all he gets.
Look, I can see forgetting things. We all do it every day. But it's like the stories with the parents leaving their child, their baby in the car. Oh, we forgot.
Right.
What? That explain that. It's never computed with me. I just don't get it. I really don't. Is people that dumbed down and zombified? I mean, I don't know. A lot of it to me, it's done on purpose, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. This is one that I had in conjunction with a with a different one, but mainly it was that they were talking about getting rid of the canine units because they don't know the difference between legal and illegal drugs. And it's messing up
And that's a fact.
when police in these places, because all they do is want to pull people over and shake them down for
Sure.
tickets. And when all the
And dogs,
drugs are illegal, they can just make slaves out of them. They're like, yay, we get some more slaves, right?
sure.
And so you drive around with these little drug dogs, and then they give them a key to start barking or whatever, so they
You
can
got it.
search
Good
and do
point.
whatever they
Right.
want with you and make even more slaves. Yay, everyone's happy. until they start legalizing marijuana. And now your dogs are ruining everybody's police case because you can't, if the dog triggers, it could be smelling marijuana. So you don't have a right to search somebody's car just because your dog triggers anymore. So they're getting rid of all their dogs and trying to train new ones. Yeah, it is. Thing. And then they're talking about how the dog costs 15 or 1,000 a year or something like that to maintain the dog.
Sure.
And it's like, yeah, well, you only suspended the guy for a little bit of time and demoted him when he killed one of your dogs, but he kills a person and whatever. It's whatever. We'll look into it.
Ridiculous times, man.
How the Roman Empire is these days. What I am happy about with the economy falling to pieces is they can't afford to lock everybody up and be slaves for forever anymore.
Yeah.
State doesn't have the money.
That's it, man. That's it. Good. Just like drugs, it's not the war on drugs, it's the war on people. You kidding? I say actually, and I'm going to get kickback for this, but legalize all of it. We're adults.
Yeah, absolutely.
If somebody wants to do that at home or destroy their life, that's on them. Okay.
Well, there's some fallout. There is some fallout that happens with families and with neighborhoods and things like that, but people have the right to move too.
Sure.
You can say, oh, there's your neighbor's a druggie and does all these crazy things. And it's like, well, you could have a neighbor who stays within the laws that is still a bigger pain than that.
Sure. Been on both sides of that spectrum too.
Gonna blast their music up until exactly 10:30 at night when it's perfectly
I have one
legal.
That lives behind me that does it.
Yeah, it was people from south of the border, maybe. Just making my sweeping generalizations again, as I happen to love the people of that culture.
No, these guys are actually rednecks that are behind me.
Are they? Yeah, 40% of my town is what do they call them these days? What is the appropriate thing so YouTube doesn't ban me? Migrant workers? Is that what they call it? I think that's what they call it. Migrant workers. No, but they're all nice people. I ain't got any problems with them. It's just funny how it doesn't matter if I'm in Minneapolis or if I'm out in the middle of nowhere where I live.
Yeah.
That's just what they do on the weekends.
Sure.
From 7 o'clock until 10 o'clock, blasting the music as loud as you can.
Freebird one more time.
It's not Freebird. It's Cucaracha.
Oh, dude, that's all they're playing over here.
Oh, right. Because you got the honky tonk boys.
That's it. But hey, I've got a 500 watt system and I've got a big back window. So when it's too late and it's too loud, I crank mine up. I put some U2 on. I put you on, the Edge playing his solo riff. And they finally get the hint and they shut it up. So it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, I was always looking, I have a pretty large musical setup where I could decide I'm going to practice my bass runs or something. Or
there you go.
But then I'm like, no, because then I'll get the cops called on me.
Right.
And because I'm I actually have an ID. And I actually have a house, then they'll
you don't get special treatment, right?
Yeah, exactly. Money. We got money. We could shake him down for money.
Oh, speaking of you too, April, man, on the first video that I sent, she texted me back. She said, "How does the Edge from U2? How do you know him?" I'm like, "April, that's Max." she says, "You look just like him." She thought it was you, and I was like, "No, that's funny." I said, "But he does play guitar." She said, "That's weird, man. You could be a stand-in double." And I was like, "Yeah, he does favor that." I don't know
about that. I don't like U2. I don't like.
Hey, easy, careful, be careful. Joshua Tree is seminal, man. That's one of the best albums ever put out. Period.
I've never listened to one, and I never have any intention of it.
You're missing out.
No, I don't think so.
With or without you, where the streets have no name, please. Okay, whatever.
Stick to my
lack of taste.
Stick to my Soundgarden and my promise. And
oh, please.
Well, there is to it.
You millennial.
I don't know. We've been going for a couple hours now. We probably should start wrapping it up. Otherwise, we're going to end up here in like 3 or 4 in the morning.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm losing my voice anyway.
So, welcome all again to the people who are new. I know I see some new faces here. We're kind of going all over the place tonight. It's just kind of a catch up, current events, talking about stuff. So yeah, I don't know if anyone has any questions. We covered, man, as always, 50 billion different topics.
Oh yeah, we'll never run out. It's always something interesting to talk about. I'll tell you what. Next week we'll talk about the Stargate program.
Sounds phenomenal.
You wouldn't believe it.
It's going to be Stargate season 52, 33, season 33.3.
Well, they're working on a new series, so we'll see how that goes. No high hopes. It'll be woke, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, everything is.
You know it. Yeah, sure. Garbage. They better not ruin my franchise.
You know, but it can be woke though and not terrible. I still
sure.
put up with that. Like the Mandalorian show or whatever isn't great, and there's some woke stuff in it, but it's not horrible like you would expect Disney to be. You know, so I mean, I can tolerate some of it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty decent.
I mean, things that aren't woke for the sake of being woke.
Right. Not the obvious agenda
kind of
thrown in your
sneak
face.
it in there.
Like The Boys, you know. Season 1, great. 2, oh my God. You know, it just, whatever. But it's Hollywood. We get it.
I actually think The Boys was an attempt to be more over the top, though, with that. To be like making fun of it in a dark comedy sort of way. That's how I took it. I
kind of agree with that.
That's how I took it.
Yeah, I get it. I do. I get it. We'll see where it goes in season 3.
Yeah. I mean, it cost me all of nothing to watch it because everyone's got Amazon super delivery where they show up at your door the second you click submit.
Yeah, our attention spans have actually been ruined by today's technology, man.
Pretty much.
Sure. Because I'll sit and binge watch everything. You know, it's like, oh, we've got to wait till next season. What am I going to do?
Michael's asking me, what do you got? Will the new heaven and new earth be exactly where we left off with Adam and Eve, naked, unashamed, being fruitful and multiply? Have no idea.
Don't either. Because that some thought. That's interesting.
There's Adam and Eve weren't. There's the idea going around that Adam and Eve really weren't naked in the beginning and they were clothed in light or beings of light, and that's sort of a thing. And it wasn't until that they
never heard of
ate the fruit. Well, you don't want to get into the whole thing here, but anyways, we have no idea. There's a lot of people who are asking about like different covenants and different laws and things that are to be put forth in the millennial kingdom and ruling with the iron rod and all that. And people use that as a justification to use old doctrine like the Old Testament. And then they want to bring this crap into the millennial reign. And it's like, you don't know any of that's going to happen. Number one, all of the stuff in the Old Testament is for foreshadowing Christ. And it's to show people are dirtbags and you can't follow the rules. Even no matter how simple, stupid we make the rules, people will find a way to mess it up. And they go, hey, David, don't murder your friend and steal his wife. And he's like, oh, man, I did it again. Right. There's the whole thing where you got Moses going up in the mountain and he's like, guys, don't throw a rave. I'll be down in a little bit. And here goes Aaron. Woohoo! Everybody take your clothes off. Hey, we got a golden calf. And, you know, that's how it is, you know. And so we have no idea in the millennial reign. It's like, well, Christ is going to be here ruling and reigning. We're all going to be priests or priests or kings or something like that, or the people who are you know, the followers of the faith and all this stuff. That's what our job is. You know, who knows? We don't know. We don't want to speculate on that.
Yeah, there's not.
We need to worry about right now what's going on now, and you know, as we're going into this time, how we can save more people so we can get out of here sooner. That's what we're worried about. And you know, there's a lot you could speculate, but you can't really make a doctrine on the millennial reign. Right. You know, you can kind of sort of know what's going on there. Like some people are going to survive it seems like some people that are even wicked are going to survive and end up in millennial reign. Sort of kind of seems like it. Have no idea. Flesh and blood.
Interesting. Sure.
Are going to be through there, but it looks like millennial reign. Why would there need to be kings and rulers and ruling with an iron fist if everyone there is saved and everyone's getting along and all that? And then towards the end, all of a sudden, where the Antichrist is released, and then we're going to have Gog and Magog and all these big problems. There has to be some like leaven in that lump in the beginning where it kind of gradually goes worse and worse, and it required ruling with an iron fist, and it requires these things. So that's just, you know, speculation because you can't really make a doctrine on that. And
that's it.
Yeah. So that's what we have. I hope I answered that well enough. If you need a more exacting response or something more brought out. I'd have to
Back
write
in the
something
word.
up.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that say a lot of different things, and particularly the Ruckman group will
Oh, Lord.
extrapolate and take things going on now and put them in the future things, bring them here, and
Preterism.
it's part of that dispensational salvation garbage.
You
And
got it. You got it.
yeah, they're making up doctrine where none exists, and
Bingo.
it's like, and when it comes to things like that, someone has to come at me with something very specific about, is this happening in the millennial kingdom? And then I could say yes or no.
Sure.
But like speculating about what's going on, it's like, man, it's a lot of study going back through Daniel and going back in Revelation. And exactly, it's like nobody understands Revelation all that great.
No.
We could kind of piece it together here and there, and this is what it looks like going on. But then we got these, the 12-headed serpents and all these things, and like, yeah,
That's aliens. That's
yeah. We'll just say aliens and gravity, and we'll call it a day. Yeah.
I love it. Well, God bless everyone. I enjoyed
that's
it.
what we got.
Good
That's
seeing
what
you
we
guys.
got. We're all going to be done. Jack, you take care, and yeah, we'll be doing this again probably fairly soon.
Sounds good. Had a good time, Max. Thanks for having me on, man.
All right, guys, take care. We'll see you later.
God bless everyone.